Fascinating piece. That's almost it from me. Let me just point you to the website, more on all those latest developments after that news that the chair of the Office for Budget Responsibility, Richard Hughes, resigning late afternoon after, of course, the details of the budget being published before Rachel Reeves actually was on her feet giving the budget. More reaction to that story and the rest of our headlines here coming up over the next couple of hours on The World Today. But that's it from me. See you at the same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Tonight at 6, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor insist they did not mislead the public in the run-up to the budget.
It was inevitable that we would always have to raise revenue, so there's no misleading there.
Tonight, the head of the Office for Budget Responsibility has resigned after the Chancellor's budget was leaked before she'd even got to her feet.
Yes, the rows and consequences of that budget rumble on, and that almighty foul-up last week cost a senior figure his job.
Also tonight, resident doctors have just announced another 5-day strike in England in the week before Christmas, the third this year. Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok in Australia, all under 16s will be banned from using them from next week. Children tell us what they think of the clampdown on social media.
It's not going to solve those kinds of issues. Kids are going to still go on it. Kids are still going to get cyberbullied.
I think it'll have a pretty good impact.
And will AI soon be doing the work of an entire film crew? We put it to the test.
Coming up on The World Today on BBC News, we'll bring you a fresh take on the day's top stories. So for all the latest news, culture and a bit of fun too, join us at 6:30.
Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6. Sir Keir Starmer has denied that the Chancellor misled the public in the weeks before the budget. Rachel Reeves is accused of exaggerating the difficult state of the UK's finances in order to justify raising taxes. But the Prime Minister insisted there was a point at which the government thought it would have to breach manifesto pledges by raising income tax, national insurance or VAT. But that turned out to be unnecessary. Our political editor, Chris Mason, is in Westminster for us tonight. Chris Mason in Westminster, thank you. So the head of the Office for Budget Responsibility has tonight resigned after the whole budget was leaked before the Chancellor had even got to her feet in the Commons. Richard Hughes had been in charge for 5 years. Rachel Reeves has thanked him for his public service. Our economics editor, Faisal Islam, reports. The US and the UK have agreed a deal that will mean pharmaceuticals exported to the United States will continue to be tariff-free for another 3 years. In return, the NHS will spend more on medicines. It comes after warnings that US pharma companies would cut back on their activities on sites in the UK if the NHS did not pay more for drugs. Well, I'm joined by our business editor, Simon Jack, our health editor as well, Hugh Pym. Simon, first of all, it is big business, isn't it, shipping pharmaceuticals to the United States?
Absolutely.
Hugh Pym, Simon Jack, thank you both. The Labour MP Tulip Siddiq has described a Bangladeshi court's verdict as flawed and farcical after she was found guilty of corruption charges and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Prosecutors said Tulip Siddiq had used her influence over her aunt, the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, to secure land for her mother. Her aunt, Sheikh Hasina, was ousted last year and sentenced to death after hundreds were killed in protests. Nick Eardley reports. A man accused of trying to kill 10 people on board a train travelling between Peterborough and Huntingdon last month has refused to appear at court. 32-year-old Anthony Williams is charged with 13 counts of attempted murder, along with 8 other offences related to separate attacks. The case has been adjourned and will resume in the new year. Police investigating the Post Office Horizon IT scandal say they are now considering charges of corporate manslaughter. 8 suspects have been identified, as well as 53 individuals described as persons of interest. Hundreds of sub-postmasters were prosecuted as a result of what's been called the UK's most widespread miscarriage of justice. Some went to prison, others have died waiting for justice. 2 former heads of UK Special Forces have been accused of suppressing evidence of war crimes. The claims were made at the public inquiry examining allegations of unlawful killings by the SAS in Afghanistan. A senior officer who can't be named, who was among the most senior in Special Forces, said he had passed what he called explosive evidence suggesting criminal behaviour to the then director of Special Forces in 2011. Here's Richard Bilton. The time is coming up to 6:20, our top story this evening. The Prime Minister and the Chancellor insist they did not mislead the public in the run-up to the budget. And still to come, the potentially harmful chemicals found in food, clothes and electronics. We ask how you can reduce exposure.
Coming up on The World Today on BBC News, we'll bring you a fresh take on the day's top stories. So for all the latest news, culture and a bit of fun too, join us at 6:30.
Now, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. From next week, anyone under the age of 16 in Australia will be banned from using social media. The Australian government says it's all about reducing the pressures and risks that children face online. But 2 teenagers are mounting a legal challenge, arguing the ban disregards their rights. Technology companies have also criticised the decision and are calling on President Trump to intervene. Our Australia correspondent Katie Watson reports. More than 1,000 people have died in flooding across large parts of Southeast Asia, many of them in Indonesia. At least 600 people are now known to have been killed on the Indonesian island of Sumatra in flash flooding and landslides, while hundreds remain missing. Sri Lanka has also been hit hard by a separate weather system where the death toll has risen to 390. Now, they're called forever chemicals, a group of about 10,000 chemicals, or PFAs, which have been used for decades in things like waterproof clothes, cookware, electronics and medical equipment. They exist in homes, water and in food, but they don't degrade easily. And scientists have linked a small number of them to infertility and cancer. As part of a new BBC Panorama investigation, reporter Katrine Nye has undergone testing to determine the levels of chemicals in her bloodstream. Artificial intelligence tools are evolving fast, and some industries worry that AI could impact jobs. The movie business is particularly concerned about the effect on film and the UK's creative sector. Some AI tools promise that with just a few typed instructions known as prompts, the work of an entire film crew can be made by a single creator and a laptop. To investigate, Mark Chislak asked a movie director to put the latest AI tech to the test by creating their very own mini-epic. What a sight. Let's have a look at the weather now. Stav Daniels, hello.
Hi Sophie, thanks very much. Good evening to first day of meteorological winter, and it's been a washout day for many of us. But as we push towards the end of the week, it does stay unsettled. Further spells of wet and windy weather arriving, and it will turn milder both by day and by night. That's it from me, Sophie.
Stav, thank you. That's it from us. Now it's time for the news where you are. Goodbye.